What did you think?
I thought it was amazing.
I thought you said that. And for others, there are pictures inside, okay? I know that would appeal to you, there we are. You don't have to read the words. Have we done with the makeup? Oh yeah, it's not working for me. Well, it's not working for you. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so there I am. It took 2 hours to put the costume on, bit by bit. First of all, starting with sort of like a corset of the zipper up here, and then putting on the pants there, and then kind of a leg, and then a foot, and then and so now I'm kind of complete from here down, and then comes the back and the chest. So now I'm kind of locked in with my arms sticking out, and already there's a kind of nasty bridge under here, which is now hitting my ulnar nerve, and that's pretty painful after a while. But now an arm comes on, and the hands were dreadful. They were clumps of metal, but we had a hand here. So now I'm pretty much ready, except for 3 pieces: the neck. And now comes the final indignity, the head. Imagine a kind of Easter egg with a front and a back coming together to join together. That was easy, except the horror. Because now I had no ability to use my arms. My arms can only go there, they can't come any closer to my body. Think about this, think of your natural movements, how we express ourselves, how we use our gestures and the facial area to express emotion and feeling. So now I'm there, and now comes the moment. This has taken an hour and a half. 5, 6 people. Now they all get together to push the kind of earring effect through the hole in the front, through the hole in the back, which is lined up, and then a hole in the neck. And the clever thing was that had a bayonet fitting the screw. And as they pushed through hole number 1 and hole number 2, no problem. No problem. But when they came to hole number 3 in the neck, guess what? The neck pushed away. And the more they pushed, the more the neck went away. And the more they pushed, and the neck went away. And the more they pushed, and I had no control over my body. Oh, sorry. I was so deep in the moments there. They couldn't get it in to do that, to close and lock. Finally, after half an hour, after 2 hours total, 3PO was complete. And then they did a magical thing, and this was probably one of the best moments of filming, that I was in a tent. I mean, forget Hollywood glamour. I was in like a Cub Scout tent with, tables with all this stuff on it. But now they were all on me, and the crew were exhausted. I was exhausted. We hadn't even begun filming yet. And as they pulled the tent flaps back, I and 3PO kind of wobbled into, because there was no rehearsal at the studios. This was the first time, apart from a 10-15-minute tryout in a studio in Elstree, London. This was the first time I'd really worn the costume. So I kind of like, and then as I came into the sun of the desert, yeah, yes, but not what you think. Because what I could see through the eyes of 3PO, like looking in one of those World War II movies where people look through binoculars and this all kind of weird. I saw the world in a completely different way. I was locked in my own space. But what I could see over here was the American crew. Because we were in Junior Zero, there was American, British, and the local helpers. And the Americans, of course, were like, oh my God, look at that, that's incredible! Wow, look at that! Fantastic. Fantastic. Awesome. And the British were going, that's rather good, isn't it? Tunisians were, oh my. They adored me, they'd never seen anything. We were in the middle of nowhere. And, why am I telling you this? I can't remember. Anyway, this was the first time I'd worn the suit, and we get to the set, and already it had broken, the leg had broken, so in that first scene with Uncle Owen, I'm not even wearing a foot. But that's the power of editing. If the camera doesn't show you what to look at, you don't see it. And there's all sorts of stuff going on that you will never know, but I'll tell you about it. And then I realized I didn't really know what I looked like. 6 months making this costume, and we hadn't actually got around to allow me to rehearse with cameras and mirrors so that I could actually see how to work this extraordinary piece of equipment. They said, no, it has to go off to Tunisia. So there I was for the first time. And I said to the continuity lady, and she's going, pardon? Oh, Polaroid, sure. So she went, and then she held it up. I said, oh, she held it higher. And this, imagine, I had no bodily function, I had no vision, I couldn't heard, every move I made noises so that I couldn't hear myself. Anyway, she held up this Polaroid, and I looked at 3PO's face, and became 3PO. It's a really weird thing that happened. All right, I'd rehearsed for 6 months with the script, but I didn't really know what I was going to do with it until that moment. And it's a bit of space magic for which I am truly grateful, because we hadn't even got to the Force by then, but it was a moment that I'm hugely grateful for. And then we started shooting, and of course my first line was something like, and it's in the book what I wrote. Just come back to me. My first line was to Uncle Owen. He says to you to speak binary language of moisture evaporators. Right, certainly, it's like a second language. My first job was programming binary load lifters, very simply for evaporators in many respects. I mean, this is garbage. I was used to like Shakespeare and stuff like that. George doesn't write Shakespeare stuff. Sorry. So take action. Right, so my first job was... Cut. Action. Right, so my first job was... Cut. Action. Right. Cut. George came up and he said, don't worry about the voice. We can fix it later. You can say anything you want. Shakespeare never said that to the actors. Shakespeare wrote stuff that the actors said because it made sense. Anybody in the room ever had to talk about binary load lifters? I thought not. Because this is true. And then he said, you can say anything you want. Action. Right, so my first job was... Terrific cut. I'd never been in film before. I was used to television where you can, do things differently. And on stage where you have had time to learn the words and rehearse with other people who are in the same production as you. All right, I did drive to work with Mark Hamill in the car, and we would go through each other's lines on the way out into the desert. One day I said, how can you say this stuff? And he said, well, look at your lens. I said, yes, but nobody knows I'm in this movie, so I can just get away with it. And of course, I had a microphone here, and a transmitter here, and a wire connecting to the two. This was very old days, everything was wired and hardwired. And we carried on. And of course, so they got me at the end of the day to take the head off and record the lines runs wild, as we say, so the editor had something to do. 6 months later, I got a call to go to Hollywood, literally, and went into the studio to put my voice back on the movie. And when I went in, the engineer said, "Oh, hi, you're Anthony." I mean, Americans do mispronounce my name all the time, but I forgive you. It's all right, Anthony. Anthony, you know, it's incredible you got here, because, you know, we've spent a couple of months trying to find a voice for your character, because, you know, George really hates your performance. George came in at that moment. I looked at him and said, "You hated my performance?" Well, you know, never thought of him as being a British butler. Just saying. But of course, it's important to remember that the transmitter was here. Through all the way through that movie, I'm talking to you out of my butt. Has anybody got a question here? Yeah. No, you had your go. You said something remarkable, and I want to remember, what was it you said?
Your book is amazing.
Yeah, you can buy the book. There are about 10 copies left here today. On the other hand, a really classy thing you could do, even better, and I spent 5 days of my life talking about myself, which is always a good thing, I think, because there is also an audio version, which, of the book, what I wrote. Oh, somebody has it on camera. Put your camera away. We are doing, it's on Audible. Yes, you can either have this here or on Audible. And you have the voice of J.J. Abrams, who you will know, Hank, was the director of the film you really hate. So I'm not going to tell him that you hate this movie. Yes. Don't apologize, no. You're Deadpool, man. You got now you make me feel guilty for humiliating. Can I humiliate? No, I won't do that. Anyway, so you can have this. What was lovely on the set one day, JJ said, you know, you should write a book. Are you? And I said, yes, actually. Would you write the introduction? It'd be an honor. So he did in the book. And then when it came to recording, he thought, well, there's only one person who can do JJ's voice. That is JJ. So he, in post-production, in the film that you hate, because I was writing it on the set, partly, so his is the voice you hear at the beginning. Yes, would you stand up, because you have a question. We're entering the makeup zone, so just turn this way.
Can I ask a question?
Well, that was the general purpose of the I mean, you guys don't get out very much, do you? It's ridiculous. Okay, now be very brave. On action, you just say your question. Ready? I haven't said action. Right.
If you could write one...
See how much better that is? There's no whatever. It's just straight in with the question. That was very good. And let's try it again. Action.
If you could write one scene and put it in any of the movies, what would the scene be and where would you put it?
It would be a scene of C-3PO having his very own blaster. I leave the rest to your imagination. But I have a list. I have a little list. Yes. Vengeance is not a quality of a Jedi, but 3PO is about as far away from a Jedi as possible. So, vengeance is mine. Yes. In the short time we have together, because you've got to go off and get people's autographs and staff people from Star Trek and everything. Who's got a really brilliant question? I rather like your makeup. Yes, but I don't think you're in a Star Wars thing, but you look cute. So what's your name?
My name's Elsie.
Elsie, right. Be ready for this. I'm going to ask you a question, and then you're going to answer. What is your question, Elsie?
My question was...
So you don't have to say my question. Airtime is very expensive. I mean, when you were rolling film, you know, that would be be this much celluloid totally wasted because you said, my question is, you want to try again? Ready? Sure? Action.
Which of the movies was your most fun, like, shooting with like, the cast and the production team?
That's a very good question. Because having been in all 9 movies, just saying, again, 9, yeah. Question, if the answer is 9W, what is if the answer is 9W, what is the question? If the answer is 9W, what is the question? It is not the question. If the question is 9W, the question, if the answer is 9W, the question is, tell me, Dr. Wagner, do you spell your name with a V? I knew I should have said it. This is Wagner, spelled with a W, pronounced with a V. Work on it. Oh, you just got it. Wow. Okay. Well, this is a lovely convention because many people have come in costume and so on. I think there's even, I'm going to visit him later, a 3PO. Why anybody would make their own C-3PO costume for fun is really weird. Anyway, on the other hand, we have Deadpool Hank. Deadpool Hank, are you going to go and watch a movie? He's thinking about it. In answer to your question, curiously, episode 9 was the film I had most fun on, because 3PO had some great moments. He had spent the whole 9 movies, and I know because I was there. Spent the whole 9 movies boasting that he was fluent in over 6 million forms of communication. And finally, in episode 9, he's asked to translate words on a dial. It is forbidden for me to translate from the Sith. And all the other actors. It was a very nice piece of writing. So there we are, that was episode 9. I had the best fun. My favourite is to watch is episode 4, because it was so simple. I got it. There were hardly any politics. There was only 2 lightsabers, I think, like 2 Jedi. I mean, now, God, everybody's a Jedi, everybody's got the Force, everybody's got a lightsaber, and I don't care what color your lightsaber is. Just saying. But it is important to note that when we were shooting A New Hope in the desert in 1976, it didn't have a number, it was just a film, A New Hope. And then something magic happened. In spite of the cast, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, myself, Harrison, all despising the script, we all did it properly because we were real actors. In spite of us, it became a huge success. And people like yourselves went to the theatre, and then you went and got your friends, and they came back and they saw it, and it went viral. It didn't exist, the word viral in that sense. Now we'd say, yes, it went viral, because of you and you and you, it went viral. So we made what became episode 5, episode 6, episode 1, 2, 3, and the episodes we don't talk about. I'll never work again. But actually, literally, seriously, it is yourselves who made this happen, who've given me and 3PO work for really 50 years. Extraordinary. I started off as a young man. Now look at me. Oh, God. And so I do say really a big thank you to you for appreciating. You know, on a film set, everybody's busy with the next scene. The real appreciation comes from you, and it feels really nice. It's lovely, and particularly today, you've been lovely. And Hank probably doesn't remember one of the seminal lines of the last movie. I wonder if you remember, because right now I'm going to paraphrase and say, thank you. And I'm taking one last look at my friends. Thank you.